Hey everyone, I am Justin, and that is Kyle, and we are the Fantasy Football Upside. All right, Kyle, we got a big one for us today. Also, hey, episode number 10. We made it double digits, Kyle.
We did it. Yeah.
We did it.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Peace, we're out. No, today's a big episode. We're talking league winners. These are the players that we think can bring you fantastic value and take you to the winner's circle.
Yeah, it's not just an episode about Justin and I. For those of you who are in our league, we understand that might be offensive when we use the term league winners. We're not discussing the two of us. We promise. This is it. This is
I mean, we only have 4 between how many years?
6.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and make it 5 this year. Anywho, back
just
to what
turn that knife one more time. Dude. All right, man. Yeah, for those of you who don't know us, we are in a league together, and we've got several people who we hope are watching, but
we hope
are in a league with us as well. And they're going to totally destroy us this year. They're going to use all of this information.
Right, they're going to use it against us. They're going to use it against us.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason why we're talking about league winners, I mean, these are the guys that we think will show up on most of the championship rosters at the end of the year. And if you are able to take them, we don't want you to hesitate to take them during the draft. You know, their draft slot might be higher than, most people think about sleepers or anything like that. This isn't a sleeper episode. This is about winners. So even if they're going to be a higher slot, we think they can give you a great return on your investment. So just remember, win your draft, you win your league. Now, real quick, if you want to learn who to draft when, what players to grab off the waiver wire, and tons of other fantasy football information, start now by hitting that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the notification bell. It's one of those things where we also want to have you guys leave some comments, some questions. We want to get some interaction going. So if you have a question, please leave it. We'll answer it. Trust me, we'll answer it. We're going to be uploading every Tuesday and Thursday during the off season, and we'll post more videos as we keep going. We like to do Friday special episodes. And hey, Kyle, we didn't mention this till the very end of the episode last time.
Yeah.
We are on podcasts. We're out there.
Exciting.
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher,
download us.
Spotify. We're going to have links in the description below, so take a look at that. Please download. Please listen too, but definitely hit download and leave a 5-star review.
Yeah.
But,
download us, walk around with us in your pocket.
Exactly. Go mow your yard.
Yeah.
Mow your yard, drink a beer. Good to go.
Yep.
So before we get into the league winners real quick, we have some fantasy news. Kyle, what we got?
Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting, this news. Todd Gurley has passed his physical.
I got to hold on to my seat.
yeah, hold on your seat. Todd Gurley has passed his physical and is set to play for the Falcons.
Hi-ya.
So Dirk Cutter can rest easy. At least one person knows the health condition of Todd Gurley.
Shouldn't this
remember? He said the biggest question I have is he healthy? So now we know Todd Gurley's healthy. He does have a decrepit arthritic knee or 2. I don't know, but he's only like what, 26?
Is that what they used? Is that the word they used? Decrepit?
I don't know. I might be coloring that. No, that's my word. That's my word. Okay. Yeah, but he does have an arthritic knee or 2. I don't know. He might. I don't know. We'll have to ask the coach if it's 1 knee or 2 that he has.
Kyle, he's got a knee.
He's got a knee.
He's got a knee.
Yeah. So he's set to go. And I don't know. I've been talking with Justin about this, and both of us are starting to like. Todd Gurley's creeping up our boards a little bit. The more we look into that,
a little bit.
Yeah,
I've been convincing you just a little bit.
Well, but also like the more that I work on these projections, the more I'm looking at it, I'm going, this offense. Oh my gosh, Gurley is set for this. If he can have that reemergence, that this elderly 26-year-old could potentially have, then that's going to be amazing. And we're talking about league winners today. I don't know. He might come up, he might not come up, but he's one of those guys that you can get at a really reasonable price in most drafts right now, if you're doing best ball drafts. And he could turn into something for you here.
Yes,
he really could. So those of you drafting right now, look into Todd Gurley. Look into him. The news is getting out on him, right? The other news that I didn't put into our notes here, Justin, is that Dalvin Cook, The numbers are getting kicked around now. So I think that ultimately something's going to happen on that front. And so draft Dalvin Cook with confidence. Let others fade him. Let others push him down their board because they're scared. This team will get the deal done. They did that with Diggs. They did that with Thielen. They did that with, they did that with one other guy. I can't recall who, where they waited up until the very last moment of camp to sign him. Now, we don't know if there's going to be much of camp this year, but the initial offer apparently was 10 million. And then Cook's camp also leaked back that he was seeking like 16 million a year. But then he corrected that, I think today, saying that's not the case at all.
Right.
I'd be willing to accept 15 million. And I'm
only
like,
Kyle. Only
50% more than what they've offered me. That's all. And when I say 50%, I don't mean like of 100,000. I mean, 10 million. So yeah. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of a kick in there on that one.
Perfect.
So yeah, as far as it relates to fantasy, draft with confidence on him. Same thing with Gurley. If you can get him where you think that you should be getting him, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't get scared off from that. He's not Le'Veon Bell. He's in a good situation. Bell is not, if you didn't catch that on the uptake there. All right. So,
or any of the past episodes that we've done.
Yeah. Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Here,
I'll start doing the eyes while you get to the next topic.
Adam Gase. Yeah. All right. So actually it should be for Adam Gase. We should this every time we say it should be Adam Gase. Or Le'Veon Bell, right? For that matter. I mean, so one of the, before we get into the big part here, one of the things that I was looking at earlier today was about Le'Veon Bell and some other stuff, right? And so one of the things that I realized was that Adam Gase was in Miami when he brought Frank Gore in.
Yeah.
And Frank Gore, in 2 games less than the RB1 on that team, had 20 carries more than the actual RB1. And Adam Gase
was that Kenyan Drake?
No, it wasn't Kenyan Drake. It was someone else, because I think Drake was drafted. It might have been. I think that Drake was drafted by Gase or while Gase was there.
Yeah.
And so Gase has also admitted that he didn't want Le'Veon Bell. If you remember, when they got him, he didn't want him. And then they drafted a running back in like the 3rd round, maybe, I think. I can't remember who, but I think they drafted a running back as well. So it is lining up. Run from Le'Veon Bell. Run. Adam Gase is going to kill his value. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So let's dig right in here on the league winners. All right. So like we said before, league winners are the guys who are going to show up on most fantasy football championship rosters. These are the guys that are going to carry you to fantasy Valhalla. Yeah.
Championship.
At the end of the season, you're going to look back and you're going to say, whatever price I paid for that guy was the right price to have paid for that guy. It didn't matter. Because he carried that winner circle. Last year, it was easily Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey. Those guys carried everybody who had them to the championship. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. So you might have gotten there and lost with them, but probably still got pretty darn close if you didn't make it there. All right. ADP, like Justin was mentioning, is not actually necessarily what we're focused on here, although we're going to discuss the ADP.
Absolutely.
Guys. That's not the focus. We're not looking for guys who bring upside value from their draft position. Instead, we're looking for guys who bring upside value because they are going to be the elite guys far and away ahead of other people. Guys who are in scenarios that are going to make them successes. You might have to overpay to get these guys, but you also are going to find that major value for them because they're going to carry you to the championship. So when you do, like I said, look back, you're going to say, yeah, people thought I was overpaying, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, drafting a guy in the middle of like the first round because you're not a fan of the running backs that are sitting there available for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to reach for a wide receiver, or you prefer not to draft a wide receiver there. And instead you reach for a running back who you are a fan of, who might be going in the top of the second round. Right. That's an okay move to do because you think that guy is going to finish where you're drafting him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's okay. And if he carries you to a championship because he's consistent on a week to week basis, you didn't overpay for that guy, not even remotely.
Yep.
Okay? All right. We already talked about the fact that, CMC was a league winner last year. We both firmly believe he's going to be a league winner probably this year, but we're not going to talk about him today because unless you have the first draft slot, you're not getting Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
You're just not going to get him. And if you are in a league where Christian McCaffrey goes anywhere outside of the top probably 2,
mm-hmm.
you're in the wrong league and you need to call up the elementary school and ask them for a new one.
Unless you're the third pick and then you're happy as can be and don't give a crap. Wow.
Yeah. but unless this is like a big money league and you're excited that you're beating up on these toddlers, then, that you're in the wrong league. It's a waste of your time.
Yep.
It's like playing in an 8-team league.
Yeah.
With like a 20-man roster. Don't do that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, so, if you are taking the top pick this year, take Christian McCaffrey. If you have a chance, take him twice.
Yep.
Take him as many times as you can there.
Running back, wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right in here, Justin. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Who is your first league winner and why?
Yeah. Before we get into it, I'm probably going to have some of these a little, slightly different than yours, of course. And they may be some that I think they're, drafted a little later than maybe some of what yours are. So we're going to have a nice little mix of both for everybody to kind of see that value. But my first, I've been talking about this guy forever. Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the conversation actually on Twitter with a John Frashilla. His Twitter handle is @LegendSports7, and it was talking about how he's still criminally underrated. He finished 3rd last year, and he's still underrated. And I just kind of, sent him a message back. Well, it was because he plays for the Lions. I mean, that's why he's underrated. Not too many people get to watch him. But
it's my same argument with Davante Parker. I'm just saying.
No, boy, you had to get that in.
Yeah,
had to get it in.
Well, where do we have Kenny G?
Kenny Galladay. So for Fantasy Football Calculator, ADP wide receiver 9, first pick of the 3rd round.
That's terrible.
I know. Like we've had this conversation. We could possibly see him finishing as a top 3 wide receiver, and with that is extremely good value, and that is a league winner. So, I mean, this guy didn't even have Matt Stafford for half the season last year, and still finished that good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he, led the league in TDs with 11. I think it might be hard to try to repeat that number 11 mark because Marvin Jones should be back.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you still have Matt Stafford coming back. So, the big thing
I think Amendola's role is going to be reduced a little bit. I could be wrong. I mean, at some point he has to start falling apart.
You would think. I mean, I feel like if you watch him, it already looks like it's happened.
I think he's on his 4th ACL, too. I don't know. I
mean, this is another thing. We talked about this during the wide receiver episode. This guy should be getting the wide receiver 1 volume that other wide receiver 1s get. I mean, he was 24th last year in targets.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, you have this guy that is so extremely talented, and he's still the 24th in targets. That has got to change. And that just, I mean, even more just as crazy that he finished number 1 in touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So I think with Matt Stafford back with the pass-heavy offense, Matt Stafford might be trying to do that Mr. 5000 again. So trademark Mr. 5000. Another thing I really like about him is he has the number 2 wide receiver strength of schedule matchup. And this is based off Pro Football Focus. So I am definitely not fading Lions players this year. And this is my number 1 at the top when it comes to my Lions players.
Yeah, especially not in the passing game, right?
Right. The running back game is a little.
There's more question
we don't
marks.
know.
We don't know yet.
You just don't know what's going to happen with Carry On and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, DeAndre
Yeah.
Swift. I think
DeAndre,
with him, you are, he's going to fall. We will talk about him in another episode at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But it's because he's a little bit more of a gamble. And so, because you don't know what you're going to get exactly there. Yes, he is a supreme talent, but is he going to get the workload the start of the year? Plus, the running back schedule for the Detroit Lions is not as good as the wide receiver schedule.
Right.
It's just it's a great opportunity. This is why we're high on Stafford to some extent. As well. They've just got such a good chance this year to perform really, really well. They may not win games, like they may not win this division. They may still finish last in the division.
Real fantasy,
but that's not that's not what we're concerned about here. What really all we're concerned about is TDs and yards, and for those of you in PPR and half PPR, catches. And this guy's a friggin' monster.
Yep.
And if they finally feature him like he's entitled to, then he's going to blow up.
Yep.
And it is not a reach to say he's top 3 if they give him the right volume.
Yep.
And Justin, you ask, why is he only getting 24th in opportunity, right? 24th wide receiver in targets.
In targets, yeah.
It's because they have Captain Caveman as a head coach. They
Number 2 pencil.
Yeah. They want to control the ball.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that the run game is going to have going for it, right? Except for the fact that they don't have enough of a line, and the schedule's not in their favor in that respect. And so he doesn't want to throw it, but ultimately to go win games, because he's going to be on a hot seat, I think. This year.
He is.
He's going to have to.
Seat is warm.
Yeah, he's going to have to put the ball in Stafford's hands, and I imagine that the same thing that happened last year is going to happen this year. They're going to be playing from behind a lot, right?
Garbage time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they blew the most fourth quarter leads last year and then had to try to come back from them or something. It was some ridiculous stat, stupid stuff. And that's all coaching. That is on the coach. I couldn't believe that he still had his job at the end of the year, because he should have been booted if they were thinking correctly. And I think that unless he decides that Stafford and Galladay and Jones are, the guys who are going to keep him in that seat, unless he figures that out, I think he's gone. They're really the only chance he's got. So yeah, I'm all on board with you on that guy, on Galladay. I fully buy into that. He could be a league winner if they give him the right totals. He could be. So yeah, don't talk about total. Yeah. All right.
What do you got?
So
What do you got?
I have Davante Adams, and he's currently wide receiver 5. He's picked 3 of the second round over at Fantasy Football Calculator. I personally have him as wide receiver 2, pick 7 of the first round. He's got no competition for targets on that team, on that offense. He really doesn't, right? Who's wide receiver 2? Arguably, it's Devin Funchess or Alan Lazard.
God. Yeah, vomited a little bit.
All right. Who do they have at tight end? They have Jace Sternberger and
the 2 other tight ends that they drafted this year.
Well, they had Robert Tonyan. They have they have that H back as well. I don't know. So who is he gonna like? At some point, they have to throw the ball. They can't just run the ball. The number 1 competition probably for the passing game this year for Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, maybe. Like Aaron Jones could potentially finish as a wide receiver 2 on this team. So if you look at the 2020 stats, and the 2019 stats, and I'm going to talk a lot about those stats with each of my players here.
Yeah.
You look at each of those. And you look at the 2019 stats for the defenses that they're going to face, the fantasy points per game that they allowed by position, then the schedule that the Packers have, the defenses allowed the second most points in the league to the wide receiver position in 2019. So they averaged, the teams that they're going to face this year, last year, averaged allowing 36.22 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. That is astronomical.
Yeah.
And then you look at it and you say, who else is going to get those targets? Right? I mean, they love to target him. They love to target him. He may not get you a ton of yards.
Once again, that's the only guy to target. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So of course they would.
So in my opinion, this is an insane amount of opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
I've been preaching like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is not going to do great this year probably, right? Because this offense is going to want to run the ball like crazy. But the defenses that they face, if they perform similarly to what they did last year, and I can't imagine all of them fix the problem, right?
Right.
Then they're going to find success throwing the ball. And if Matt LaFleur taught us anything about what he thinks about football last year, it's do whatever it takes to win the game. And
right.
Aaron Rodgers is more than capable of just utilizing what's given to him and exploiting opportunity.
Yeah.
So who's the guy
who
stands
so
to
he had
benefit the
success
most?
last year. He had success last year, and once again, he was still the number one option on that team. So it's like, okay, you would think they would get it fixed to play like the teams that they're going to be playing,
but not that much.
Yeah, you would think they would at least fix a little bit, and a lot of that attention, a lot of double teams, and even maybe some other triple teams or whatever, because you can leave one-on-one coverage with the other receiving options.
Yeah.
So that you're risking or you're counting on the other teams a lot to not mess up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm not and not all of them are going to get that right. There's 16 games they're going to play.
Yeah.
And what is it? 13 teams that they face. They're just not going to get it all right. And he's number 2, or this path is number 2, and that includes the Bears twice. That includes the Vikings twice. So all the other defenses last year, that the way they performed, and they're facing them this year against the wide receiver, they were trash.
Yeah.
I think they play the NFC South this year. So they see the Falcons. The Falcons didn't do anything, to fix their problems. Yeah. I'm not saying though here that he's going to pass Michael Thomas. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's got a similar situation to what Michael Thomas had last year.
Yeah.
There was no legitimate number 2, except that Michael Thomas had Jared Cook on that team, but they only threw him the ball like 46, 49 times, somewhere in that range. So really, truly, the only option on that offense was Michael Thomas.
Right.
It's the same scenario here, and he's got a favorable season lining up for him. So my thought would be anybody who's drafting in the back of the first round, because he's going in the front of the second round, if you want, you can take him there if you feel like you're going to grab a solid running back 1 on the top of the second round.
Right.
So that that you're getting Davante Adams, and then you're comfortable with maybe any one of 3 running backs who might still be on the board in the top of the second round.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're doing a roster building, path here or plan, that's how I would think of him. If I'm in the back of the first round, he's one of the considerations I'm making.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. So let's move on here. What do you have? What do you have for your number 2 for me?
So for my number 2, I really actually don't have this in too much of an order. It's just kind of the guys.
Yeah. I don't have mine ordered either.
Yeah.
So,
but this might hurt you just a little bit. We're just talking about Packers, and this guy kind of maybe destroyed the Packers in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah,
kind
did.
of.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but his name is Raheem Mostert.
Yeah,
Mr. Purdue alum, which kind of stings me to say as an IU alum, but he's a fantasy football calculator's ADP RB28, 10th pick in the 6th round.
That's criminal.
It really is.
That's terrible.
I
a run-heavy team, the RB1 is 28th.
I mean, people are they're worried about the timeshare concerns. I mean, I get a little bit of that. Like, Shanahan's also mentioned that he wants to do the hot hand. I think he's the only hand. He's got 2 of them, and he's like the only hand. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they traded Matt Breida to the Dolphins. There goes down 1. Tevin Coleman's there. IU grad. Jeff Wilson's there. He's kind of just a guy. They are bringing, Jerick McKinnon is back. He hasn't played a snap, I think, in 2 years. So We'll see if he's still on this team. So they do have guys in the backfield, but it's like, dude, this guy put up RB1 numbers, elite RB1
Yeah.
numbers when he was handed the job. He wasn't handed
Well,
the job. I should
when he was
retract
given
that.
the opportunities,
When
and they
he
actually
wasn't
handed the
handed
ball
the
to
job.
him.
He
Yeah.
took over the job. So I mean, week 12 to 16, he was the 7th best running back, and we don't include actual NFL playoffs with that. I mean, just that Packers game alone, he had 220 yards with 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Went back and watched the highlights today, Kyle. That was great. It was real great.
I'm sure it was.
It was. There's some reports out there. Of course, this is always going to come out. This is kind of like baseball when it comes to best shape of your life type reports. But the reports coming out is he's been adding weight because he wants to be that RB1. He wants to take on that workload. For running backs, he's a little older for running backs. He's 28. I think he's going to be 28 for most of the year. But he doesn't have the miles on him.
Yeah.
He didn't play that much in this league until these last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't actually get that much action at Purdue. I was looking back at some of his college numbers. So I think he's still fresh enough. I think he offers tremendous upside if Shanahan chooses to kind of ease off of that, running back by committee. So that's why I think this guy could be a league winner, especially based off his ADP right now.
Well, when we talk about the confluence of skill, capability, talents, and opportunity. And really opportunity, he definitely has a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether or not he will be given the chance to exploit that opportunity.
I'm curious.
I would hope that Shanahan,
if Kyle Shanahan's ego kind of gets in the way. I don't know if he's one of those ones that thinks like, oh, I can drop any RB into my, my offense and get, elite numbers. You know what I mean? I kind of
to this point he's basically tried to prove that.
Yeah,
and he has a little bit. I mean, Matt Breida is fast as can be, but he's not a bell cow. But he was still feeding Matt Breida over Mostert.
Yeah.
All right.
Up until the second half of the season.
And I think they basically decided to offload Breida because they were getting McKinnon back, as well as they had Tevin Coleman healthy.
And Jeff Wilson is there to vulture touchdowns and stuff.
Yeah. Dude, it's something about, like, I don't know, like anytime that somebody's been around Adam Gase, they get infected. And so Jeff Wilson has brought that over, apparently that infection from Miami when he was with Gase, he's brought it over to Shanahan now in San Francisco.
A little bit of Gase got on him.
Yeah, he got a little bit of Gase on him. So Adam Gase, we're going to get an angry phone call from that guy. Right at some point, I don't know if we do all record.
Hopefully, it's not a FaceTime.
Hopefully,
it wouldn't be a FaceTime because I just don't want to see his eyes when he's done.
Only if he's on the salts at the time. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what that boils down to. I like Mostert too. I do. Yeah. I think, like I said, that it really comes down to you're taking a tad bit of a gamble, but 28th is ridiculous. RB 28 is just.
For a guy that could put up RB1 numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at a minimum, you're going to have a guy who's an RB2 for the season.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that his floor is phenomenal.
Right.
His floor is as a starter, not as a flex. And his ceiling is 1 or 2 in the league for running back. Like, it's possible. It's possible. So, yeah.
I got a decision to make on him in our league.
He's a potential keeper for you.
Yep.
Do it.
I'm thinking.
I don't know. I have no idea what the cost to you is going to be on him. I have no idea.
Another criminal cost, man. 14th.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that's stupid. But you've got other guys that you have to consider. Probably.
I do. Yeah. What do you got next?
You have your man crush out in San Francisco still, right? George Kittle. Is he still keeper value too? I think so.
Keeper in my heart.
Yeah. Okay.
Cigarette break.
Yep. All right. Okay. So I have, and this one, I'm apparently staying in the NFC North in this episode,
love to stay
as well
in the
as
NFC
our
North.
last one. I think it's because the defenses are so bad usually, like other than like one
Which
of
is
them.
great for us.
Yeah, it's great for us, but the
Yeah.
defenses are usually very exploitable. But the next one I have is a Chicago Bear, believe it or not. It's Allen Robinson. And there's a lot of
Whoa,
reasons.
you're not gonna bash?
I'm not going to bash.
Wow.
Here, I'll tell you what. I like Allen Robinson. I have for
Oh,
a
yeah.
very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him when he was down in Miami. And I thought that both he and who was down there with him at the time, I can't remember the other wide receiver that they had.
It wasn't Miami, it was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Jacksonville. You're right.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
They were both down in Jacksonville. I can't remember. Alan Hearns.
Yeah.
And what the two of them down there remind me of now is Galladay and Jones, actually.
Wow.
A little bit. How like they get no respect when in fact, like those guys down when they were down in Jacksonville, they helped a lot of people because they were the only focal point for that offense at the time. Right.
Yeah.
And so Allen Robinson, right? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently wide receiver 24 on Fantasy Football Calculator, and he's going 7th pick in the 5th round. I have him as 15th, going 3rd pick, 4th round. So not terribly different, but also we're talking a difference between being a back end wide receiver 2 and top end wide receiver 2. Okay.
You'll like what I have him at then.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably have him ranked terribly too. Oh, wow.
No, I got him at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got him at 15th. I think he's sitting somewhere around 13, 14 for us probably. So here's why. Here's why. He finished 2019 as a wide receiver 4 in targets with 153 on an offense that was 12th in pass plays called.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he was 4th in targets on an offense that was middle of the pack in pass plays. That means that a lot of it was going to him. Yeah. And they've done nothing to dissuade me from that being what's going to occur this year.
They did add like 20 tight ends.
Oh yeah,
I mean, does that
all
count?
Of the tight ends, all the
tight ends, all the TEs.
Okay. I will admit they have Jimmy Graham, and so anything could happen, right? Jimmy Graham, market setter, Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hey man, more power to you. You can get that money, go for it, right?
Get that money.
Go for it.
I mean, they did let go Taylor Gabriel, so that's some more targets. I think Anthony Miller finally took a nice little step there towards the end, but I think there's still plenty of targets with Taylor Gabriel gone.
I think that there is a clear line of demarcation though between Robinson. Between him and Miller, and that there is a clear wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 dichotomy that
they're not at the same table right now.
They're not. No. So he was not only wide receiver 4 in targets, he was wide receiver 6 in receptions. Okay. So you could say, oh yeah, every time they threw it, they were throwing it to him, but he was still converting that to value for you. Okay. So
even
anybody
with
who had
the guy throwing him the ball, he was still.
Oh no, I could talk all about that. I mean, his quality of target was absolutely atrocious. And yet he was
really?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that was the next point I was going to make. I was going to say that the target quality was terrible, literally terrible, but he was wide receiver 6.
Yeah.
And he was 5th in contested catch rate. So in instances in which the catch qualified as contested, he was the 5th best wide receiver at that. Okay. So he was getting hit while catching bad balls, and he still did his job. Okay. So that's all of the stuff about how he did his job.
Yeah.
What's he looking at this year, right? They're looking at a really, really good schedule based on last year's numbers. Okay. So you upgraded Nick Foles, and then you go and you add yourself the best wide receiver schedule based on 2019's fantasy points allowed per game by the defense. The best. So you add a guy who can throw it, who can throw it deep, who can throw it pretty accurately, right? It have to be better than Trubisky, right? And then you add in that they're averaging like 30. The defenses last year averaged giving up like 38 points a game to the wide receiver. And you've got a guy who's the clear focal point of that passing offense, even when it doesn't pass a lot.
Yeah.
And let's not kid ourselves. Matt Nagy wants to pass a lot. He wants to pass a lot. But he was busy hiding his poor QB. And now he doesn't have to hide his QB.
Right.
With Nick Foles. Well, we hope he doesn't. I mean, otherwise they're going
I
to
was
have to
going
go
to say,
and
so you
trade for
think coming
Gardner
out of training
Minshew.
camp, or you think coming out of training camp, it's Nick Foles' job?
I think it already is.
Dang.
I think it already is. I think that Trubisky has already played out.
Yeah.
I think he's played his last game as a Bear. Like as a Bear on the field, not taking, the end of the game snaps. I think
knees.
I think that's all he's going to. Well, the knees, even Foles will take those. But I'm talking about like it's a blowout one way or the other. He's the guy who's going in there. He's the tackling dummy, right?
Yep.
I think that's what I think that's where he's at now.
Yep.
So I think it is Foles' job. I'm straight up just look. If Trubisky beats out Foles, then that just means that Foles was absolutely terrible,
right?
And everybody got it wrong.
Yeah.
So look, this is a great opportunity for a guy who's not challenged by the depth chart as much, and you can just go out and draft him with confidence. You're going to get a good value here at a minimum. Like we were talking about before. You're looking at a guy who's at least a wide receiver 2. There's no reason to believe he's not going to finish as wide receiver 1. He really could, right? Yep. I mean, you got him as a wide receiver 1. I'm probably pushing him into that territory pretty dang soon. So,
I mean, he's another year removed from that torn ACL as well. Yeah. He came back a little early from a felt like in his first year with Chicago. I mean, I was just looking back. His 2015 year, fully healthy, 16 games. He was let me look here, the 4th best wide receiver, Kyle. He put up 80 catches, 1,400 yards, and 14 touchdowns. And I believe that was probably Blake Bortles as a QB.
That might be.
I mean, this guy gets a little upgrade at QB with Nick Foles. And he is, we didn't even mention, he is a stud at route running. I just remember watching some videos of him last year in his route running. And that's why he's getting the targets, is because, the QB has confidence that he's going to be open. He just couldn't throw the ball to him last year when it comes to actually
it was
a catchable ball, like you said.
Oh.
So with an upgraded QB, that's why I'm bullish on him at 10 overall wide receivers, and I don't think I'm going to be wrong. And that sounds like you're the same way. So you might have some heads turn when you pick him at the top of the 3rd round or middle of the 3rd round, and you're just gonna be laughing at the end.
Just be like, I'm right.
You're just gonna be laughing.
I'm right. Yeah, look, I watched some tape on him as well and his route work is like, that's the thing that Davante Adams has always had going for him, was his route work, right?
Yeah.
He like, the guys who played football at that elite level love to tweet out when they see Davante Adams working, right? And Allen Robinson's route work is up there with him. I
don't get how these guys, they're 6'3", like 6'2", 6'3", and I don't know how they can bend like that.
Like I have seen routes that he's run that are just like a 10-yard curl or dig, where he's just trying to get up there to get that first down, right? And he'll push out, he'll bend that route, he'll shade that DB to the hip, turn the opposite direction, and then Trubisky throws it to the DB.
Well, the DB was open, buddy.
Yeah, well, he was. I can't argue with him
on
that one. I can't. But it's just, that's maddening. That's maddening. I'm not a fan of the Bears, but I'll tell you what, man, it really. Like that. Oh, I don't know.
He didn't know which color he was throwing to.
I don't know if Bears blue is one of the colors that you can't see.
Go with me. Just stay with me.
I'm gonna go literal for the whole episode. Just literal.
Shocker.
Yeah, just Dave Bautista in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I'm just full literal.
Drax.
Yeah. No metaphor here. No metaphor. Yeah. What's that? What's a metaphor? Yeah. So.
Boom.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Allen Robinson. You seem to like Allen Robinson. I think that this. Look. Just like we were saying with Kenny Golladay, you don't have to believe in the team to believe in the player and the chance. Yep. And if Foles is an upgrade, much like Stafford is an upgrade over their QB from last year, then you've got no reason to be scared of Allen Robinson. Just don't be afraid of him. Wide receiver 4 in targets and wide receiver 6 in receptions last year. And that's on a trash team that the QB was terrible. And he's going to win those contested balls.
They didn't really add much.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So who have you got for me here? Third one, right?
Yeah. I am looking at Evan Ingram, tight end for the Giants. Fantasy Football Calculator ADP is tight end 6, 8th pick in the 6th round. Now, usually, we had this conversation off air. Usually don't think of really tight ends as being a league winner.
Yeah.
But I think this guy does because he's such a hybrid anyways that you almost look at him and look at him on the field, you look at it like he's just a big wide receiver anyways.
Yeah.
Like targets is going to be huge for him. The Giants don't really have a wide receiver 1. They have guys there. I mean, okay, they have Golden Tate.
Yeah.
Darius Slayton.
They have bodies. They have bodies.
They have bodies. I'm spacing on the third one.
Here, let me pull it up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Whenever he was playing last year, he was still, led the league and led the team in targets at 8.5 a game. I think that's still going to continue. He was tied for 6th in red zone targets in all of football last year, and that was
it's Sterling Shepard as well. But
Sterling
he's
Shepard,
never proven to be anything more than a wide receiver.
I don't think he's averaged more than 11 yards a catch for a wide receiver for Sterling Shepard. So that's not too good. Not good.
But I think that's who you were probably
trying
to think of.
Yep,
KJ Dillon, Corey Coleman. I mean, this is just literally this is a list of names. Once you get past Golden Tate and Darius Slayton, it's just it's names that they made up to make it look like they have wide receivers, but they don't.
It's actually, I mean, like, kind of like how you just were talking about, like Davante Adams when it comes to who is he going to be competing against for targets. There's maybe Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, but you can definitely tell that Daniel Jones was looking for him in the end zone, in the red zone as well. Yeah,
he had some massive games. Yeah, I mean Jones had some major blow-ups.
He really did, and I think this offense is going to be a little bit better. I mean, they finally invested a little bit more in the offensive line to protect Daniel Jones, to open up some more lanes for Saquon. So then they do have
now. If he can just calm down and stay in the pocket, I think that that this passing game has some real potential. But like we said, who are the real targets here? Who are going to benefit from this? And Evan Ingram is a physical specimen. Like we know this. Yeah. He's got all that potential. Mm-hmm. It's been there for years. He's dealt with injuries.
Yep.
So really, that's the risk with him is the injury. I don't think that any other reason exists for you to be afraid of him.
Yeah, there really isn't because, like Daniel Jones should be improved. He flashed a lot there towards the end. I mean, he flashed. Mm-hmm. He had some good games. I mean, the Giants did pick up this 5th-year option for Evan Ingram. That has to tell you something. I mean, they believe in him to pick up that 5th year for a tight end. That's a probably decent little amount of money. Yeah. So, like you said, though, can he stay healthy? That's always the thing with Evan Ingram. I mean, last time he was healthy was his rookie year. His rookie year, he was 4th best tight end.
Yeah, I remember he exploded on the scene.
I mean, that's the thing. He's still young. He's still going to be 26 for most of the season. So it's not like he's an old 5th-year player or anything like that. So he still has age on his side. And this is the big thing that I really liked. I was looking at PFF again, and he is number 1 for strength of schedule for tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think he could be a league winner, even though you usually don't think of tight ends as league winners. But a lot of times I just don't look at him as a tight end. But, hey, he slides right into that tight end slot.
Well, I mean, that's where he's playing out of. Right.
Exactly. I mean, he does.
But he's.
You don't ask Evan Ingram to block. You really don't.
Yeah, and I don't know what his route participation is. Like really with tight ends, we've talked about this on our tight end episode, and if you want a more in depth look at that, check it out. We talk about what it is that you should really be focusing on as far as like the stats that you're looking at for why you favor a particular tight end. We're looking at opportunity and evaluating what we're seeing with that right now, and guys who have the chance to basically beast out for you. And so we're not getting into the routes run, but maybe can you pull that up really quick? Like what his route share was last year?
Yeah, I'm trying to find one that
Yeah.
would work for
I'm
us.
pulling up his like fantasy points per game schedule per game last year for the schedule this year. Trying to see what that's looking like. And you and I were talking off air about him a little bit earlier today, and he was one of the guys I was considering putting in there. He's fourth. He's got the fourth easiest schedule based on last year's fantasy points per game allowed.
and
And
he's first this year, so it sounds like the teams that they're playing against this year have not improved.
well, the prognostication over at Fantasy or Pro Football Focus, that's what they're basing that on. I'm just looking at last year's totals, last year's actual raw numbers.
Yep.
And so if you assume that not all of these defenses can fix the problem that occurred relative to that position, which is a safe assumption when you're looking at the extremes of the measurement here, then you can exploit those opportunities that are the most favorable. And Evan Ingram is sitting in one of those opportunities. He doesn't have anybody who's threatening him for his job. They are relying on him to be their tight end one.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The depth chart, when you look at it, is a bunch of, again, also rans. It's a bunch of names that look like they're just made up.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know Evan Ingram's name. He did explode on his rookie year. He exploded onto the scene. I remember there was a race to pick him up off the waiver wire on like week 1 or 2.
Oh yeah.
And so he's proven that he's capable of rising to the opportunity. He's just not stayed healthy for the exploitation of that opportunity. I think he sat on my bench last year in the IR for a little while. Like I was holding on to him thinking, oh, they're talking about him coming back. And so I had him in a couple spots where I was hoping that he was going to get the opportunity, and just it never fully materialized early enough for me to exploit that. But yeah, Daniel Jones is on the rise here.
Mm-hmm.
He's that offense. He showed a command with that offense last year where there were definite blow up games. I think there were multiple games of 4+ TDs that he threw. And who's going to be the recipient of that other than, if he throws 4 TDs in a game, one of them's got to be going to Evan Ingram at least.
Right.
So I would feel fully safe picking him. Where'd you say he was falling again?
We had Fantasy Football Calculator has him at tight end 6, 8th pick in the 6th round.
Okay.
I know we usually say to wait on tight ends, but I think he could kind of fall even past that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking
at
running back and wide receiver, I mean, it's worth a shot.
Yeah. Especially if all like if you're going to venture out of running back and wide receiver at that point, probably all the guys who are QBs that you would consider at that spot probably gone. Maybe the guy that we're going to talk about here next is still on the board there, but he's a tight end worth considering in that spot, I think. And what we're getting at here again is not finding draft value, finding a guy who you're not overspending on. We're looking for the guy who, even if you're overspending, at that point, at the end of the season, you're proven to have not overspent. And he's the guy who wins the league for you. Like he's the guy. I mean, I had Austin Hooper in a couple spots last year, and I took him really late, and he carried me.
Yep.
In a lot of situations, I lost players to injury who should have been carrying me. And instead, Austin Hooper was turning in tight end 1, 2, and 3 weeks, repeatedly. And so tight ends can perform at that level. There's no denying that George Kittle and Travis Kelce do that too. And Evan Ingram has all the skills, and he has the opportunity to do it, I think.
Yeah.
So don't shy away from it. Don't shy away from it. It is a tight end. It might be a little bit of a reach, but if you can find a way to finagle him a little bit past where he's going right now, then absolutely, I think that you're getting a great opportunity there.
Yep.
So, you got anything more for us on Evan Ingram that you wanted to?
That's all I got. I think I'm going to probably draft him in a few leagues. That's for sure. I'm going to be targeting him in a few leagues.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a mistake if you can find him in the 6th or 7th round. If he falls like that, that's like you should really be watching for those guys who, if they fall past where they should have gone.
Yep.
And these guys are guys who you believe could really excel this year. Then you gotta grab those guys regardless of what you're trying to do as far as depth.
Yep.
Right. All right. So the last guy we're going to talk about here is my third guy here. Not necessarily, again, like they're not ranked or anything. Right. We always talk about waiting on QBs, right? Because the value for the top from 1 to 12 is not spread far enough to grab usually early. But the guy that I'm going to talk about might prove to be worth it this year. And that's Dak Prescott. And over on Fantasy Football Calculator, he's QB6. He's going 12th pick, 5th round. I've got him QB6 going first pick, 6th round. Okay. So I've got him there, but I think that we have him a little bit higher. I think he's like 4th or 5th for us because you have him at 3, I believe. Right.
I do. Yeah. He made our undervalued list earlier this week on the episode for sure.
Yeah. So the more I dig into Dallas, the more I believe that Dak is going to do a great job this year. And he could prove to be that league winner for you.
Yep.
He's poised for a big year. He's got Mike McCarthy calling plays in Dallas. We've talked about it repeatedly that Mike McCarthy ain't changing his stripes at this point. He might be telling you he is, but
going to the woods into the
he went out to the ice fishing shanty and got back
old
home,
shanty, and
he's looking straight ahead with both eyes, and he's going to call the plays as he sees them. Yeah. Look, everything that they're doing down there says to me that they're rebuilding the Green Bay offense that he had 10 years ago. They went and they got a 3rd wide receiver. Well, why? It's not because he's going to run air raid. Mike McCarthy is not going to run air raid offense. He's not. So what's he doing? He's going 3 wide sets. He's going to run the modified West Coast offense that he ran in Green Bay. And that's a QB-centric offense. They've got a great running back, right? And every time that Aaron Rodgers has looked amazing, usually he's had a solid running back behind him. Mike McCarthy loves to have a Zeke. He's never had a Zeke behind him.
Yeah.
But Mike McCarthy loves to have a great running back who he doesn't use, right? So he uses him enough, but he's not going to use him to the detriment of the QB in the passing game.
Right.
He's Mr. Huck it and chuck it, right?
Yep.
So I think that Dak Prescott is poised in that respect. I'll give you a little bit of his stats from last year. Look, he put up the 2nd best in passing yards, air yards, and pass attempt distance during last year. He also added in the 4th most passing TDs, right? Which can be a little bit anomalous because you're relying upon other players and situation, right? Then they extended Amari Cooper. So they're devoting effort to the passing game, right?
Only 5 years, $100 million.
They're devoting salary cap to the passing game.
Yep.
And then they added CeeDee Lamb in the draft. So they're devoting draft capital to the passing game.
There. Once again, should never have been there at number 17.
Yeah. And then Michael Gallup is arguably in the middle of his breakout.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I don't think he's going to usurp Amari Cooper during that breakout. So this offense and the passing game has a great, just value sitting there. Like everything is pure opportunity for Dak Prescott. And then you toss into that he has the 2nd easiest schedule among QBs based on 2019's fantasy points per game allowed relative to the schedule they have this year.
Yeah. Those are some good
sick.
Numbers adding up.
They just devoted everything. They said, we're going to pass. We're going to pass. We're going to pass. But while Mike McCarthy's going, no, we're not going to do that. But they're going to do that because Mike McCarthy's going to do that.
Yeah.
And so look, they've got a solid run game with Zeke, right? But Zeke is actually past the point in running backs' careers not by age, but by success level, where they start to actually degrade, right? When you look at the numbers, guys within 3 years of their first Pro Bowl, I think only 1 or 2 have ever made a Pro Bowl again. Okay, so he is now like, I think 4 years removed from his first Pro Bowl season. He might be one of those guys who can do something that other guys have not done. I'm not saying that he's incapable of rising to the occasion and doing that. But what I am saying is that he is likely to not be the one focal point of that offense, especially when you've got all these other things sitting in play, right?
Yep.
But Mike McCarthy loves the play action pass, right? And you've got an effective run game. They did lose an offensive lineman,
Travis Frederick.
Travis Frederick, the middle of your offensive line, right? And so that could harm the run game a little bit, so that it's less effective. But they're still going to be afraid of Ezekiel Elliott this year. There's going to, because he rises above the offensive line, I think, to some extent. And so that run game's effective enough to allow for play action pass. And what happens in play action pass when it's really effective? You get bombs.
Yep.
And you've got 3 guys capable of getting down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm looking at the Cowboys and I'm buying, Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. I'm actually fading the wide receivers just a little bit, just because of how I think their skill level is pretty much in line. So it's kind of hard. I mean, there's going to be weeks where it's like it's going to be Amari week. You know what I mean? Just based off of matchups.
Who do you
pick? Next week is, Gallup. And then CeeDee Lamb's going to flash as well. So
that, Justin, when you're drafting, that's why you should just draft all 3 of them in our league next year. That way you don't have to worry. You can just start all 3 of them and you'll get it right every time. Yeah. So my final word on Dak is grab Dak, ride the wave to the playoffs, and say hello to the championship when you get there, because I think that he's a guy you're going to be able to ride to get there. Try to sneak him into the 6th round if you can, and don't get too hurt if you miss on him though. You have to wait to grab somebody later. Don't feel too bad about that, because you're not overpaying there. But I don't think that he's going to be an overpayment this year in that spot. Like, there's a few guys that I always say, okay, I'll break my own rules for, and I'm beginning to think that Dak is sitting in that sweet spot where I'm willing to break the rule of waiting on the QB and draft a QB early, because he's not killing my value there. Like, we were talking about this a little bit before, that in the 6th round, and he's going in the back of the 5th round, literally the back of the 5th round. In the 6th round, you're starting to look at maybe wide receiver 3, risky guys who might end up as wide receiver 4. You're looking at your flex spot. You're looking at guys who maybe are going to hold on and finish as an RB2 for you, but they're going to have up and down weeks. And so that's the balancing point is, are you looking for those depth picks at that point still? Or do you want to take someone who you think is really going to pan out for you, and just you're going to be able to ride him all the way to the playoffs?
Yeah, you're looking at those inconsistent players when it comes to, the end of the 5th and into the 6th round, like you were just talking about, those wide receiver 3s or RB2s or RB3s. You just, there's a reason why they're RB3s or wide receiver 3s or wide receiver 4. It's because, there's consistency issues.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're hitting Dak Prescott, okay, you might not like him as a QB on certain things, but the guy still puts up fantasy numbers, and that's what we're talking about here. You might not like the way sometimes he plays or anything like that. Like, you might think he's inaccurate or anything, but the guy still puts up points.
Yeah.
He always has.
His wide receiver core is also capable of overcoming his slight inaccuracies. His inaccuracies aren't dramatic, but they're significant enough to cause problems for him. But the wide receiver core that they have hides that.
Yep.
So,
and he still has a good enough offensive line to kind of hide that as well.
And they're not afraid to throw it. They're not afraid to throw the ball, regardless.
He's still got, he's got 2 legs. Yeah. Coach asked him how many knees he's got. He's got two legs and 2 knees. He still has a good rushing floor as well. I mean, that can't be ignored. I mean, you still have some good floor value when it comes to Dak, and you have that high ceiling as well. So I think he is actually one of the safer picks when it comes to QB. And Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, it's starting to make me rethink how I draft when it comes to certain players, and that's what you want to do is you want to look over through some of these, and you don't want to be set in stone on how you draft.
Yeah, play the draft as it comes to you.
Exactly.
You really have to.
My brother was asking me a question, and he was asking me like a draft strategy question. I was like, the thing with this is you want to feel confident going into your draft. You want to have enough research done, but also remember everything's going to change with one pick. You can't plan for every single pick. You want to be ready for what could happen, but you just don't know. So that's why you got to feel confident on the guys that you feel confident about.
Yeah.
So if you have if you're worried about picking him too early or something like that, but you're like, oh, I could pick this other guy, but I don't really know that much about him, or I just don't think he's consistent enough, just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Just do it. If you feel confident in him, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, each of these guys that we've talked about, you should have that level of confidence where you can literally you grab them and you just say,
I want you to be on my team.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap this up here.
Yes, sir.
I think we've gotten through enough here. There's only so many guys who are going to win your league for you.
Yep.
And there's only so many guys in our league who are going to win. That last knife twist there. So, all right. You found us on YouTube. We're the Fantasy Football Upside podcast. Our Twitter handle is @FFB_upside. And at Facebook, you can find us at FFB Upside. There is no underscore there, like I always say. And the Fantasy Football Upside, you can search for us over there as well.
Yep.
You can reach us via email at thefantasyfootballupside@gmail. We've got our podcasts up. All that information is actually down below in the description. Links directly to all of the addresses that you can get us. You can pick us up from your favorite podcasting service. We're on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify right now.
Yep.
And you can just load us into whatever your preferred podcasting app is, and you can listen to us in half the time or whatever if you feel like it. One last time, if this is the type of information that you guys are looking to get through the remainder of the season that you're hoping to build up for in your draft, click that subscribe button down there and make sure you click that bell as well so that you get notified when we upload this the podcast each Tuesday and Thursday during the off season. And like we said before, we're hoping to add Friday episodes in, try to do some drafting, some mock drafting. We're going to have some people in, I think, to help us with that, see what their thoughts are on draft strategy. And then we're going to start to pick up the episode speed and add more episodes in as we get closer to the draft season. And start watching out for our fantasy draft kit. It's the Victory Draft Kit. It's going to help you win your draft so that you can win your league. It's going to be full of great, useful information and all kinds of links built into it that'll take you to all kinds of useful spots.
Also, real quick,
Sure.
when it comes to the YouTube channel, feel free to leave a comment. If you have a question, leave it there. Or if you have a suggestion of a video that you want to see, you know what I mean? Like, we want to help you guys. That's why we did this.
Or if you think we're terribly wrong, let us know.
Absolutely. I mean, I know how wrong Kyle is. I want everybody else to, let everybody else know how wrong he is. But
you need more people to agree with you.
Yeah, I do actually. That'll make me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Yeah,
absolutely. So please leave a comment, have a suggestion for a video. We'll look at it and definitely, see if that works out for everybody.
All right, guys. This has been the Fantasy Football Upside. Thank you again for being an Upside fan, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.